It's day 23 of the self-love experiment, and I had to take you to one of my happy places, the Hudson River. I live in the Hudson River Valley in upstate New York. I moved here from New York City after 14 years of living there because I needed some of this. I needed the water, I needed nature, and I just came out today because I wanted to go see one of my former neighbors who lives very close to the river. And, sometimes when we run into people that we haven't seen for a little bit, we get to be reminded of how much we've grown, how much things have changed since we were there. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how losses can be really blessings in disguise. And a couple weeks ago, really, it's like a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago, I was in a housing crisis. And many of those people who have known me know that housing has not come easy to me in my last couple of years. Actually, I found out that my parents, who kicked me out because of their religious beliefs a decade ago, I'm almost up on a 10-year anniversary, prayed every day that I would become homeless so that I would have to come back to them and repent my sins and live in their basement, which is something that never happened. I did not go back. I have a fundamentalist Christian family who kicked me out for my belief systems, which is just like so heartbreaking, especially because one of my favorite and most precious spirit guides is Jesus. And the work that I do in my healing work, my shamanic healing work, is connecting with guides and angels and doing really high level, beautiful healing work for my clients who've been through loss, trauma. And, when you go through trauma yourself, you really know how to deal with it and how to hold space for it. And so I am really good at holding space for my clients for those deep transformations because I've been there. Well, anyway, there was a loss that I recently had that was really devastating initially, but I didn't realize that the universe was really trying to take something out of my past so that something more wonderful could come into its place. And I was living in a place in the small town that I'm at, and I had a unpleasant experience with my landlord who came in and started cutting the bushes down outside of my windows. And I had just had my car be vandalized. I had cut out my catalytic converter in my car. I didn't have a car for several months. This is right around my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I had my catalytic converter cut out and vandalized. They severed my fuel lines. They just like hacked up the undercarriage of my car, which is really, really sad when you live upstate New York. Like, that's the way to get around. And I couldn't get around for a long time. I had no vehicle, was really grounded. The universe really humbled me in that moment. Insurance didn't cover it. It was a big heartache. And I remember after this loss, and then like the bushes were cut down, and that was my privacy screen. And my landlord is outside, and I opened the window and just, let him know, like, hey, like, I wish you would have called me and talked to me about this. Like, these bushes are my privacy screen, and I don't feel safe right now. And he ended up like screaming obscenities at me through the window. And it was horrifying. It was like I've never been treated so unprofessionally by a landlord before. And, if you live in New York City, you have landlord experiences that are not ideal, and this one took the cake. And we had already been having some issues and things. So after that happened, it was just really interesting because I was crying. I was really upset. I felt like my housing was being threatened, and it was because I got served papers. We got into a fight, and he didn't want me to live there anymore. And it was at that moment that I had plans with a girlfriend, and I told her I was going to be late because I was crying in my room. And this was before my car was vandalized. Or no, we were using a different car at that time. I was borrowing a car. And we drove to go see my girlfriend. And on the way, like a 15-minute car ride, there was a sign sitting outside for rent. And we saw it and we're like, pulled over, and we called, and the landlord answered, and he was amazing. We saw it that week, and the day after we saw it, and we're like, we want this place. That's when I got served the notice to quit papers, and was being reminded by the universe that it's time to get out. And my neighbor who helped me find this particular apartment also was moving, and we discovered so much mold in the basement. It was just horrible. It was like a living hazard. Definitely don't recommend living in that old apartment. But the thing is, I was seeing this as a huge loss, seeing this as, oh no, my housing's no longer stable. I've had fear of not having housing since my family kicked me out, and I found out they were praying for my homelessness. That was something that I had to really work with. And when we talk about curses, we talk about And this is something I talk about with my clients, like, people can curse you not even being aware of it. Like, Christians can curse people and not even think that they're doing the wrong thing, right? But someone speaking that vibration out against you can create that reverberating energy into your life. And it was when my faux bro told me that my sister had told him that my parents were praying, that I understood that this was like energetic attack and something that I needed to work with Jesus and work with my guides to help dismantle, so that I could clear that way to find housing. And such a blessing that I did that inner work and did that energetic work, because it cleared the way to find this beautiful space. So we ended up getting that apartment and moving just up the hill from where I was living, just up from this beautiful river, still in the same zip code. And so many blessings have come from that. The home is absolutely beautiful. I feel so loved there. And it's like there's this presence in this old farmhouse where I live that is just so absolutely gorgeous, that I am so grateful that that happened. And even though it was traumatic in the moment and I felt like the universe was taking away the only solid footing that I had, it was actually clearing way for something so much better to come into its place. So I wanted to remind you that sometimes when there's a loss, if there's grief about something that you have had to let go of, whether by force, whether by the forces of nature taking someone from your life, through death, through loss, through breakup, through trauma, that we have this opportunity to see that there's something bigger and better happening. This is a conversation I had over with my community in Facebook, because I do my weekly Witchy Wisdom Wednesdays, and we talked all about how heartbreak can be the biggest activation for our next level of upgrading on our journey. So I've put together a beautiful masterclass that's go from grief to glow up, and the shamanic journey from healing from heartbreak and loss and trauma, that I'm going to be doing over in my Facebook group and on Zoom in just a couple weeks. And you're invited. And this is for anybody who is really interested in reframing some of their loss and using time tested shamanic strategies to get their life light back after trauma, because trauma and loss can be really trying on the soul, but you don't have to walk around feeling that loss for the rest of your life, right? We can like lose someone in the breakup and then still be obsessed about or affected by that loss for decades, right? And instead of having to feel that loss and that imprint on our soul, we can call back that power. We can move on. We can feel confident again, and we can get our glow back. So if that's something that's curious to you, if you've been through loss that ended up being an incredible upgrade, right? Sometimes we have these relationships, these breakups, and they feel horrible in the moment. And then later we reflect and we realize that because of that, something wonderful happened. So I want to remind you, if you're going through a period of loss or heartbreak, that it's really an opportunity for upgrade. And if you want some extra tools to reframe that and some healing strategies to help you bounce back from that experience and into your power again, I'd love for you to come and join our free masterclass. I've shared the links below. If you're interested in talking to me about my shamanic healing work and if it's right for you, feel free to reach out. I love having beautiful conversations with my people, and I'd love to hear from you. And if you're going through anything that's difficult right now, know that there's a blessing in disguise waiting to make itself known. And I'm just wishing you so many blessings today, and blessings from the Hudson River, blessings from this beautiful space where I am now. From my heart to yours, just loving you here. Happy day 23, and I hope you are finding something beautiful to do for yourself. Today it was me seeing my neighbor and coming to the river, and I hope that there's something beautiful in today unfolding for you. All right, see ya.